good afternoon. How are you? Don't know about you. I'm a bit chilly actually, but there we are. I'll cling on to my cup of tea. That usually does the trick. Yeah, thank you for joining me. My last couple of quotes, it's quite bright, isn't it? Oh, there we are. What am I doing? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You won't mind too much. Maybe I shut the curtain a bit. No? Oh well, I'll just see, it's the photographer in me, the hot spots. So yeah, this quote is striking a chord with many of you. And if you know me well enough, you know that the quotes that I put out aren't just plucked out of the ether just because, you know, I've got nothing better to do. They are usually quite... Denise, thank you for joining us. My quotes are very much based on what's going on in my little world and also what's going on in the little worlds of those that are close to me or people I'm working with or something. So today is quite an interesting one. Inner peace belongs the moment you don't allow another person or event to control your emotions. Dawn, thank you for joining us. Oh my God, that just happened to me just now. So, I mean, you know when your dishwasher beeps and it sort of says, it lets you know that it's the end of the cycle. So I just opened the door and that was fine. And I just sort of left it for a while. And then I decided, well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just tidy up before I go and do my live. So I grabbed a cold cup of tea, opened the dishwasher and threw the remnants into my dishwasher all over my nice clean dishes. And I just thought, oh well, you know, there was a time in my life that would have actually sent me over the edge. And I just sort of thought, oh God, well, I'll just run that through a rinse again, you know, c'est la vie. But, you know, so I just thought I'd share that with you because as inner peace, do you think I've got inner peace today? Clearly, because it belongs the moment you don't allow another person or event to control your emotions. So pat myself on the back. Well done, Kai Graham. You didn't lose it. In the scheme of things, it's not actually earth-shattering, is it? But it's a little story that I thought I'd share. So why did I put this quote up today? Do you get people that yank your chain? Do you get people that drive you a bit ditzy or sort of... There's a couple of people in my radar which I don't know if it's the woo-woo in me, but I just feel there's a lot of judgment there and I haven't really seen very much of them recently, but I just feel that there's judgment and hence yesterday's quote. You see, it doesn't all happen by accident. Who are you to judge the life I live? I am not perfect and I don't have to be. Before you start pointing fingers, make sure your hands are clean. And in fairness, I had to catch myself on yesterday because I was doing just that. I was judging. And it's not very constructive and it's not very productive and it's just, it doesn't really help anyone, does it? So I think maybe, I think we're very, I don't know, as individuals, we can be quite sensitive to what other people think or what other people say or the energies that other people or the vibes of, you know, do you know what I mean? Catherine, Leanne, thank you for joining us. I'm talking about judgment and how we cope with it, and not only are we receiving it, are we doling it out in spades as well? Because I had to catch myself on yesterday as I was feeling quite a bit like a wounded bird yesterday, and I felt, God, I'm getting bad vibes from, you know, a few people or a couple of people in particular, and I don't know where this is coming from, and I know it's actually, in fairness, nothing to do with me, you know. The world doesn't sort of revolve around Kai Graham. I get that, and I sort of realised, you know, it's probably their own rubbish going on. And what does NLP say? Perception is projection or something, and that's basically if you see shortcomings in other people, they're probably coming from yourself as well. It's on your radar, it's being highlighted. And that is exactly what happened. I felt really judged by a couple of people, and then I caught myself on doing the same right back at someone else. I thought, no, that's just not right. But it does drain us a bit, doesn't it? And it does knock us off our axis. Even though I have to remind myself, and as you guys should do as well, and especially if you've got kids, let them know that quite frankly, what anyone else thinks of you is none of your business. Quite hard. I know, we're all people pleasers really. Well, some of us aren't, but it's quite hard, isn't it? And I think the trick is I've learned to take a plank out of my own eye and just sort of, realise, live and let live and all that. But it's tricky when you feel that, and this judgment that I felt I was receiving, I have no proof of it. I hasten to add, I did a tiny bit, but yeah, hey, that was a while back. But I still sort of feeling the sort of residual, vibes, but there's not really anything I can do about it. I think it's second nature, where we want to try and make ourselves appear better in the light of that person's opinion. And do you know what? Why is it that we spend all our time focusing on the negative, which is usually a tiny, tiny, tiny portion, when we should be concentrating on the positive? A girlfriend of mine has just written a fabulous book, and she was she had 1 3-star review, and all the others were 5 stars. And she was going, I got this 3-star review, and the thought was, well, hang on a minute, yeah, but why are you focusing on that one when all the others were 5-star? The 3-star was probably, whoever it was writing just was in a bad space at the time. Be grateful it wasn't 1 star. But do you know what I mean? And we always focus on the negatives much more. And is it human nature? I don't know. I think we should knock that one on the head. I think, put on my Pollyanna rose-tinted glasses and realise that life's not that bad. And yes, we like to be liked by lots of people, but if someone doesn't like what you do, it's not the end of the world. If someone's not too keen on your sense of humour, it's not the end of the world. Someone doesn't like your accent, or doesn't like your haircut, or doesn't like your way, doesn't like your way of, managing. It's not actually the end of the world. Sometimes we have to learn to adapt our behaviours so that it's not. Thank you for the hearts and thumbs. I appreciate that. Helps me know that I'm sort of talking a tiny bit of sense, or if I'm not, you just agree with my drivel anyway. But the point is in order, it's all very well trying to please, you can't please all people, you can't be all things to all people, and that's all right. I mean, forgive me, I'm going to use this guy as an example, but Lee Evans, the comedian, just doesn't do it for me. Sorry Lee, I know you have a following of masses, but Kai Graham isn't at the front of the queue, and that's all right. Lee is not going to lose terribly much sleep over that, really, is he? Because my opinion is nowhere near his radar, but that's the way it should be. And I don't know what's going on at the minute. I think probably it's because of the political climate and the state of this darling planet. It's sort of not quite got its act together because of the inhabitants on it. And I'm just getting really funny vibes. And it's, and I sort of voiced my opinions with a couple of others, and I went, yeah, what is it? What's going on here? And I just think that we should try and coexist and just be nice to everyone. And yeah, well, why not? It's much less effort being nice to someone than sort of sending them this sort of evil stare and hoping that they trip over on the curb. But so there's a lot of judgment, self and from other spaces, going on in my world at the minute, and it's just, I just think it's important, yeah, to acknowledge it, to be aware of it. You know, one thing I do say, let me just take a slurp. I'm just coming to the end of my online course, and I was sort of chatting away and just sort of saying, do you know what, the overriding sort of thing, especially for parents, but for all of us to learn, is we have to acknowledge the feelings of others without judgment. Because if someone makes us feel shitty or not, it might not be their intention, but it's worth considering that end result. You know, if you sort of say something and make someone feel shitty, it might not have been the intent to do that, but having the respect to say, right, okay, well, that didn't go down as planned, or I didn't realise they were so sensitive, or whatever it is. Just acknowledging that, you know, when we acknowledge someone else's feelings, we show respect, they feel valued, and also they reciprocate, for goodness sake. That's quite important. And I think, as my darling granny used to say, she used to say, do as you would be done by. And actually, in fairness, across anything else, that is my one golden rule. I would say that would be my core value. If someone sort of, you know, shone a sort of torch in my eyes and said, right, come on, Kai Graham, what's the one thing you stand by? It would be that. Do as you would be done by. And I think we have to acknowledge that the world doesn't sort of revolve around us, and that we are all equal. And if someone does something differently to us, that doesn't mean that they're wrong. And if we have different opinions, it doesn't mean we're right or they're wrong. God, you know, it's just different. And I think it's important to treat people with, well, if you listen to me, you know, often enough, you know that I sort of basically say we've got our three big basic, not only, but big basic needs are to be loved, to be understood, and to be respected. And I try and do that. Every so often I catch myself on, you know, she did what? No, you don't know. I tell you, it was sort of one situation where actually I was confiding with a girlfriend, and I said, do you know what? Mrs. S makes me feel a bit, you know, she's sort of keeps on putting me down, and you know, I just feel getting rather bored of it, really. And she just turned around to me and she just looked and she went, but things aren't as they seem with Mrs. S. Oh, not about me, is it? And I suddenly thought, get your ego out the way, Kai. So next time you see Mrs. S, be kind, be nice, because you don't know what's going on in her head, you don't know what's going on behind her front door, you don't know what's going on at all. Really, really. Lots of us are very good at putting on a mask. Lots of us are very good at pretending that life is rosy and that it's the way it should be, and it's all technicolor and, you know. But we don't know. We haven't walked a mile in someone else's shoes. So rather than that she makes me feel crappy, just actually realise that she's probably more preoccupied with her own crap. And I had to learn that again. But, you know, so rather than take everything to heart, just acknowledge that there might be stuff going on in someone else's world and treat with love, respect and understanding yourself and other people, because it's important. When we treat people with kindness, look what comes back. If we're on the defensive and crabby and crummy and, you know, sort of spiky, well, you're gonna get that back in spades, aren't you? So just be, yeah, slightly more understanding and compassionate is what I learned, I tell you. And what I also realised, which is something that at least I'm getting my own learnings eventually, is everything, with me, everything seems to be going okay when I'm looking after myself. I was saying in my group just earlier, it's a bit like when you use Sensodyne toothpaste. You know, if you've got sensitive teeth, you use Sensodyne toothpaste. And you keep on using it, and then your teeth sort of are all right again. You think, oh my God, that's so cool, that's worked. And you stop using it, you go back to something else, and then your teeth start getting sensitive again. You go, oh God, why's that happen? Because you stopped using the toothpaste, yeah? And that's a bit like me in self-care. When I'm looking after myself, when I'm giving myself space, when I'm being kind, when I'm sort of reading the right material or meeting the right friends or doing the right meditation, I'm still crap at that, but you know, I'm trying. But doing all the right stuff, being kind to myself, and yeah, then I'm more resilient. Emotionally, I'm more sort of balanced and I just feel okay. So if someone comes along and sort of makes me feel a bit rubbishy, I go, well, that's all right. Yeah, that's fine. But as soon as I stop the self-care, as soon as I start having bad, you know, sort of bad sleep patterns or eating rubbish or don't exercise enough or drop meditation or whatever it is, do you remember, you know, whatever floats your boat, as soon as you stop doing that, your mind starts getting chaotic and it's all that crap and then you start feeling overwhelmed and then someone says something, you go, oh my God, do you get what I mean? So the point is self-care. Look after yourself because then you've got the emotional resilience to cope with all this judgment. It was Bob Marley who said that one. So who are you to judge the life I live? And vice versa, I hasten to add. I'm not perfect and I don't have to be. Before you start pointing fingers, make sure your hands are clean. But, Bob, great words, but we need to... rather than keep on pointing it at someone else. Yeah, don't be mean to me. Just, you know, get your own house in order. We need to do the same as well. So there we are. And the point is that if you're feeling a little bit judged, go and do some self-care. Don't be the victim. Go and have a good night's sleep or go and have a massage or go and read a book that you want or go and do 20 star jumps or do an exercise regime or whatever. Look after yourself. Treat yourself with love, understanding and kindness. Because then that builds up your emotional resilience. It calms your mind and it stops you hanging on to all this rubbish that is indeed just rubbish. And remember, if some hurt people. So if someone's being a bit crummy to you, it has nothing to do with you, really. It's all about what's going on in their life, in fairness. So don't take it to heart. Just look after yourself and just look after the ones close to you. It seems to work when I remember to do it myself. So on that note, I shall love you and leave you. Oh my God, it's Good Friday tomorrow. I hope to catch you. I'm going, yeah, there'll be bad Wi-Fi where I am, but I hope to catch you. And have a good one. And I will speak to you before Easter. But if I don't, have a good one, and I shall see you soon. Thank you.